Hello, hello, hello. Happy Retail Sales Tuesday. How's everyone doing? Boy, it's quiet out here today. Oh, good morning, Patrick. Good morning, John. Why does that work? Come on. There we go. There we go. Good morning, Sterling. Guess you're busy at work, Sterling. No news today, which is fine. You do it as a benefit to this channel. But it looks like Sterling might be busy. What else? Oh, what else? What do you have, John? Dan Goldman from the District of New York. Trump must be eliminated. That's probably not the best thing to say after a second assassination attempt. Good morning, Ted. Everything's insane. Redbook year over year actual 4.6. Thank you for posting Redbook. We had retail sales. The month over month number bouncing back above consensus to 0.1. But remember, these aren't inflation adjusted. Year over year is 2.1. Prior was 2.9. And then you have like X Auto coming in below consensus. That's what I'm saying. They're mixed. Redbook, that was a drop from prior. So, hello, Charles. So that's where we sit. Nothing big. We had the official in TradingView, the official roll. The roll volume was actually yesterday. So when I did Ninja Trader, I was already on this contract. If anybody watched the Ninja Trader little segment. What else do we have coming up? We got industrial production in about 10 minutes. And then what else? Business inventories at 10 a.m. Eastern. You fed Logan. Huh? No, tomorrow's the thing. That they're quiet period. Unless is Logan, I forget, non-voting member. But it's back to favoring 50. This is the weirdest. Everything's so weird this year. So back, you got a pretty stable market with the mega caps sort of leading it up today. If you look at here, you got technology, comm services, consumer cyclical. The only thing negative is consumer defensive, so it's definitely a risk-on day using that terminology, which I can't stand. Boy, what else? What else? Let's see if this has changed. Just 67% for the 50. But I can't remember the last time we went into a Fed meeting without a consensus being above 90%. And this, it's flopped back and forth repeatedly. Now it's only still at 67%. So let's see if it can get up to 90 on that 50 rate point cut. Still in neutral mode. Schiller PE, market dirt cheap, 36.27. Very sarcastic. Buy the dip. I'll say it for Coco in case he jumps in here. Just buy the dip. Nothing with earnings today. The only thing tomorrow is General Mills. Again, very quiet. What else? Oh, what do I want to show you? I have RSP up here, which is the Invesco S&P 500 equal weight ETF. Just want to show one thing. Why this is up there? Because we're getting a broader rally. Now, keep in mind the market's still expensive, even in somewhat more consumer defensive or value oriented stocks are still expensive, but this participation is getting broader and broader on this rally. So it's not just solely dependent on the mega caps. That does not mean this can't come to a very abrupt end. Again, if you're watching RSP, pay attention to Wednesday 11th low. Wednesday 11th low. Okay? Just wanted to point that out that we are getting a little more broad. Oh, Coco, you didn't come in with buy the dip. You came in with soft landing today. Coco, you're not really helpful, and you're close to getting banned again. Good morning, AS. What else? Who did I miss? I don't know where I left off. Did I say hi to Jacob and Royal Palms? Sorry, that's political because I get in this stream. What did you get with political? I didn't see which. Boy, let me hit my reset button because my brain's frying. I saw that the 33 bomb threats were all originating from overseas. Oh boy, everything's nuts. So I'm just showing you something. This is the back adjusted, just so you know. We're roughly still at August highs. It has been rallying. This is the unback adjusted with the pure contract roll, and that's why you have the gap. I'm using the non-back adjusted right now, and we'll update these levels because we're still looking at 57.96, so 5,800, which we could easily hit with the rate cut tomorrow on especially a spike up, and it's going to be important to see how it closes tomorrow. In the short term today, 57.37 is what I'm paying attention to. 57.37. On a pullback, I'm just paying attention to earlier with the contract roll right around the 56.93 to 56.95 areas key support. Remind me, Coco, it's your reality, but it's not real helpful to people who are trying to learn. Okay, NASDAQ with the contract roll hit the 87.5. Still, if we're now looking at the next key thing for the NASDAQ, I'm coming back over here and looking at this. I'm looking to see on a contract basis where we close today, even though it's a roll. Now back adjusted, we've still closed above it, but I want to make sure this one follows through with the close. And then the level's 20,075, and that would be the first level I'd utilize. The full 87.5 rule is 20,529, but we have the Fed meeting coming in tomorrow. So I also have this upwards channel being drawn just to see on a continued rally the combination. If we do continue to push higher with the rate cut tomorrow, I'm really focused on the 87.5 coming in with the top of this upward channeling pattern. The key support, very similar with the contract roll. In the NASDAQ, I'm paying attention to about 19,640 to 19,690, that key range as support. And I'll be watching the 1 hour rotation zone specifically today. The Dow with the contract roll coming up to the next cluster and moving beyond 42,455 is the next target area for the Dow. The double never confirmed or triggered, off the table. So we're just continuing to grind higher. Nothing more to talk about other than those are the key levels. Russell, remember this is not the roll date for the Russell. The Russell is coming up tomorrow. So target on a continued rally today in the Russell's 222.25 to complete the 87.5 rule. And the roll will definitely complete the 87.5 rule. VIX sitting, roughly around that 17 going into the FOMC. But again, this is going to just be based off of additional volatility expected into the FOMC. The DAX now almost getting into potential double top territory. Minor magnet price is 18,829. Major ones 18,932. Nothing else to talk about there. Major support is right around today's lows and these prior key close from Friday the 13th, which is around 18,700. Yield. Still keep an eye on this. Still keep an eye on this. You can see the potential double bottom with the divergence. With the divergence against the rotation zone, but I'm paying attention to the high yield price on the micro yield of the 10-year from Thursday, September 12th. Okay? Tomorrow could get interesting because it could also be setting up with a percent B minor bounce buy. Now cycles are at the top trying to roll over, and the trend is still down. So nothing to do yet there from my perspective. If you think that's the way it's going to work, then I got some bridges to sell you, Coco. If you remember the lag effect, remember the lag effect. It's not going to matter if they do 50 or 25. It's not going to matter. It's not going to determine hard versus soft landing. People could think it is, and I don't think they even want the soft landing because they can't deflate housing prices. And the housing prices actually need to deflate. Dollar index sitting at major triple bottom support. But there's no fantastic setups here. We might get some clarity. Now, if we start breaking below this 100 mark, you can see some really quick selling pressure. If we break below that tomorrow, back down to about 99.4 to 99.5. Crude, I'm now paying attention to today's low area. We've had the run-up, cycles back to the top, solidly in the rotation zone, closing in on some major resistance. So going to be watching for some kind of push lower to possibly establish a stronger bottoming pattern. Natty gas, remember, triggered, pulled back, dipped into the rotation zone with the rising rotation zone. This is not just because it's a double, this is a fantastic pattern. Does not increase the probabilities, but from a separate perspective, I love this pattern with the rotation zone. When you break above key resistance and it retests the rotation zone and retests that prior resistance becoming support, and then breaks higher. So from two, even if we didn't have a double, this would be something I would have been paying attention to from the long side anyways, but the double had already triggered. 252 first target. Gold just pausing, waiting for the Fed. The Fed. Remember, on any sell-off tomorrow, we still have a gap left behind. So pay attention to 25.80 on the downside if it does react initially quickly down with anything. 26.41 is the next target higher. The yen. We hit the next key harmonic area with a little bounce. We do have waning momentum down here. We are getting out of oversold, but the trend is still down. We don't have a super strong bottoming pattern yet. So I'm going to be paying attention for some kind of setup here, but the trend is still down. By the way, 139.55 and then 136.62 are the next targets lower. The spiders, again, we have going to 565.16 was the prior high. Back in July, we're at 565.32. Next target cluster area is 570.39 to 572.02. Key support is coming back to that 565.16 to 564.20 area. So on any weakness, pay attention to right around just slightly above 565 for the support to possibly kick in. The Qs, you can see how much tech's been lagging, and as I said, we've been broadening out the rally just compared to spiders, which are going to look like it's going to gap to a new high today, but compare that to the RSP again, which took out the highs from July a while ago. So on an equal weighted index, you got a little broader support coming in. However, they're both going to new highs. Just something to note. Now, it's nice to see some broader support coming in, but if things were so insanely overvalued across the board, it would be different. It would be okay. We could be really, from my perspective, getting a solid breakout base. Hey, Options 22, thank you for tuning in. Well, here's what I do. I always monitor stuff on both. I do a back adjusted, I do continuous, but if I'm trading the DECE contract or the March contract, whatever contract, doesn't matter. I do, like you see me, watch some of the stuff I do on Ninja because it's specific to the contract. Okay? It's specific. If I'm entering, like right now, I've already rolled to DECE. So I'm going to fine tune my analysis on the DECE contract. And it's going to be stronger to just do for individual targets. Use the harmonics on that specific contract. All right. Now, if you're trading like the spires and the Qs, you don't have to worry about something like that. We do need a reset button. I want to still need one of those. We need like those. Remember those Staples buttons? What did they used to say? What did the big red button from Staples that they used to sell? I forgot, but we need that to be reset. Let's see. We had a request for TLT. Hold on. TLT. Continue just holding the rotation. The only thing I'd be watching. And again, the trend is still up. Why do I note things like this? That doesn't mean they'll ever trigger. It means here's the key thing I'd be watching on the TLT. Just because I highlight a potential reversal pattern does not mean it ever has to trigger, does not mean it's going to trigger. It means 99.69 on a closing basis would be something I'd be watching in the TLT. Other than that, the next key price is right around this 102.87, which is also pretty significant resistance from back in June of 23. And you got the rotation zone being support, and this potential double, it could be invalidated today, is against the rotation zone. So that's the only thing I'd be watching. Depending on your time frame, that could be at least an area to, if you're in a very short term, to take something off if it closes below there, or if you're longer term, just take notes and keep a longer term stop below the pullback target. What else do we have? Yeah, that was easy. Now we just need reset. It was the easy button, wasn't it, Patrick? It was the easy button. That's what I forgot. Thank you, Patrick. We need like the reset button. We need let's just get things back to, let's reset this inflation crap. Let's reset some of this pricing and a lot of stuff. Let's get back to some sane valuations. Yeah. So we need a reset button. Do I give any credence to divergences on the stochastic RSI or just on the simplest RSI? I give minor on the stochastic RSI. I like the simple RSI better for divergences. What else? I had another there was something else. Oh, EWJ. Another one to watch. I'm going to shift to another one. Remind me a second. XBI. EWJ. You had a little double trigger, a return to the trigger point, hitting the first target. 71.36 is the next thing. So that's your little key area right there. And then really pay attention with the triple top. So as long as this doesn't turn from EWJ and break really below the 68 level, you see how it came down? Now you got the 200 here, and you got this very strong support base. As long as we don't close below that, it's still in bullish mode with a little bullish pattern. It's going to be very interesting to see how it reacts here, to see how it reacts. And remember, if you come to this is the key lows I'd use, at least in the short term. If it does break out to new highs, I'd be looking at 73.92. I go back here and then I do another little harmonic progression off of this. These would be the two I'd use. And look at that cluster. On a breakout, should this continue to plow higher, that's the major area I'd be paying attention to. Pay attention to this also if you're looking for something else. Again, not a trade recommendation, but the biotech. Biotech in the little short term over here, we've triple topped. Now, there's not a trigger yet. I'd be waiting for a breakup, but you see, we've had a key high area. We got the weekly 200, which is an area that's been providing resistance, but it keeps trying to chip away at this. Pay attention if biotech can break out above there. That's a little interesting one. Another thing, I'm keeping an eye on the short term, and look at where it's sitting against that harmonic, the 37.5, and look at where the 50% target is. Now this might not break out. It's got the rising weekly rotation zone, so as long as we really don't start closing below that, it's still something I'm going to keep an eye on. If we start closing back below roughly about 96, I'll be patient unless it makes another run at this. Why this is interesting too, you got the 37.5 harmonic right here. We break above that, you're above a multi-top pattern, and you're into a clear path move, and the next major target is 118.29. And look at 118.29. That was you broke below it, so this was support, broke below it, retested, confirming it as resistance in the rotation zone, and then rotating down. So that would be a really interesting magnet price. Now, has this triggered anything yet from my perspective? No. And it might not, but it's something I'm watching. Hey, Andrea, I have a question for you. Thank you for tuning in. Because I was just looking at somebody provided, they're like, oh, look, you have instant equity on this home. They provided me with an appraisal they got on their home. They're trying to sell it, and it's been sitting there. I was going through the appraisal, and there were non-sold properties being used in the appraisal. And this was done by an official appraiser, not them. It was done by an official appraiser. I've never seen non-sold, they weren't even under contract. But they're using currently active listed properties in an appraisal trying to justify a value. Have you ever seen anything like that? You're welcome, Jacob. So, wait for the wait. Yeah, it can. You can be superstitious. Again, this is not a trade yet. It is because this could turn around and collapse back down. XBI is notoriously sometimes tougher to trade, but once it does get a trend on, it can last for a while. That's why I'm keeping an eye on it. It is not a trigger from my perspective. So, what else? NVIDIA. Nothing's really changed here that we need to talk about. That's the weekly. The daily's just sort of sitting there. Apple. Nothing's really changed here. Still going to pay attention to in the short term is 209.85 level. And because if we close below that, I'll be really watching for that reconnection. The SPX is not an inverse head and shoulders because the inverse head and shoulders is a bottoming pattern. It's a reversal pattern. We're already at all-time highs. And finally, real quick to wrap it up, Bitcoin. Yeah, that is a sloppy flagging pattern. I'm still watching for potential lower prices in these because of the Ethereum. Now, if Ethereum comes and triggers this double, then I'll be paying attention to long side on the cryptos again. Other than that, still watching for the drag lower. All right, with that, I shall talk to everyone later. Hope everyone has a fantastic trading day. Bye for now.